in the FBO already hear the Christmas tunes, and so we're ready for a good Christmas season. I'm joined here by the Secretary of the Department of Economic Opportunity, Dane Eagle. And usually when he's here and he has something like that, it usually means we're bringing gifts. So just be prepared for that. We may be joined in a minute by Laura DeBella, who's the Deputy Secretary of Commerce with Enterprise Florida. We do have Greg Evans, District 2 Secretary with the Florida Department of Transportation. You know, he was down when we're fixing these bridges in 3 days, like people would not have been able to do in most parts of the country. You know, these guys were the ones that were down there in Southwest Florida, so we really appreciate that. We have from the city of Jacksonville, Mayor Lenny Curry, City Council President Terrence Freeman, and City Councilman Randy White. And this is obviously going to be today's announcement is going to be very impactful for the city of Jacksonville. Also joined by Matt Pacino, Airport Director at Cecil, Mark Van Lowe, CEO of Jax Aviation Authority, Senators Bradley and Yarborough, and our new representatives, Dean Black and Cayenne Michael, are joining us here today. So we appreciate everything all of them are doing and will continue to do to help the folks not only in the city of Jacksonville, but throughout all of Northeast Florida. Before we do today's announcement, I just want to make a comment about what we've been seeing going on in China. This zero COVID policy is draconian, it violates people's liberties, and it is completely unscientific. And the people of China are right to be able to speak out and protest against what the Chinese Communist Party is doing. This CCP has a maniacal desire to exert total control over its population. Zero COVID is really just the pretext for them to do what they want to do anyways. And that is not a model that can work over the long term. The people in China are finally speaking out against it. And I just think we need these draconian COVID policies to go to the ash heap of history where they belong. And then as you've seen that go on in China, you know, there's reports that Apple is not allowing the protesters to use this airdrop function where they're trying to communicate. That obviously is providing aid and comfort to the CCP. And so you see that report, and that's very concerning. And then when you also hear reports that Apple is threatening to remove Twitter from the App Store because Elon Musk is actually opening it up for free speech and is restoring a lot of accounts that were unfairly and illegitimately suspended for putting out accurate information about COVID. That's like one of the main things that's being reinstated. So many things these experts were wrong at, and you had people on Twitter that were calling that out. And Twitter, the old regime in Twitter, their response was to try to just suffocate the dissent. And Elon Musk knows that's not a winning formula, and so he's providing free speech. And so if Apple responds to that by nuking them from the App Store, you know, I think that would be a huge, huge mistake, and it would be a really raw exercise of monopolistic power that I think would merit a response from the United States Congress. And so don't be a vassal of the CCP on one hand and then use your corporate power in the United States on the other to suffocate Americans and try to suppress their right to express themselves. And so I'm glad things are changing at Twitter. And I know there's a lot of work to do with big tech generally, but this is big progress, and we're really happy that that is now happening. Now, today, we're here because what we've done since I've been governor is identify opportunities through different types of initiatives, but one of the things we've used a lot is the Governor's Job Growth Grant Fund. We've used that to bolster workforce training and education, but also infrastructure. And if there's key infrastructure where we can come very quickly, work with a local government, a county, a city, and get something done that's going to have a high impact value in terms of jobs and industrial base and things that are our priorities, we want to do that. Now, we've done a lot, for example, with creating new commercial driver's license graduates for truck driving. if you look at what's going to happen over the next 10, 15 years, most of these truck drivers are older, and you don't have as many people that have filled in the back. And so we've got to do all we can in Florida to step up. So when I became governor, they were doing about 600 truck drivers through our various programs a year. Now, through our investments, we're going to be able to do 3,500 a year in the state of Florida. That's going to have a huge impact, a positive impact on our economy, on the supply chain. Of course, when you have things like Jacksport, this stuff comes in, yeah, you can do, I mean, there's really two things you can do. You can put it on a train, you put it on a truck. And so we need to make sure we're doing mindful of both of those things. So that's been a huge thing. We've done a whole bunch of other stuff with the workforce. But we've also been able to do, if there are things that are needed in terms of an additional artery to connect like an industrial center with a thoroughfare, we've been able to come and do that. We've done that all around the state. In fact, just over a year ago, we were here at Cecil, and we did $6 million to support the construction of more than 2 miles of roadway and expand business opportunities at the spaceport. And that's something that is going to pay big dividends. And so in that vein, what we're able to announce today is we're awarding $5.5 million to the city of Jacksonville to construct a 3-mile railway track to serve Cecil Commerce Center's 600-acre mega site. Now, this new dual service line will link the main line north of I-10, main rail line north of I-10 to the Cecil Commerce Center and increase transportation access for manufacturing and for logistic companies. This project alone is expected to bring 500 new jobs in manufacturing and logistics to the area, with an economic impact of over $14 million for the city of Jacksonville. And in fact, I know they've already been talking both at the local level and state with some companies that are eyeing this, and this would be enough for them to want to come. So stay tuned. I think you're going to see some good announcements in the not too distant future. So Cecil Commerce Center is conveniently located near I-10, Cecil Airport, Cecil Spaceport, and Jacksport, making it a prime location for companies that need to move their products anywhere in the country. And businesses in need of new talent will also be able to draw from the Florida State College at Jacksonville Cecil Center, which houses the college's aviation and commercial vehicle driving programs. So we believe that this is a great use of the Job Growth Grant Fund. This is going to make a big difference in terms of the manufacturing and other business footprint here in the state of Florida and in Northeast Florida in particular. So I'm happy to be able to do that. Dane, do you want to award that? Who's going to come up from Cecil? All right, yeah, Len.
Right.
There we go. All right, there we go. All right, congratulations. Absolutely. All right, Dane, you want to?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you.
Look, thank you all for being here. Thank you to the governor for his leadership on continued economic development. The Job Growth Grant Fund is a great tool that we, DEO, in partnership with EFI, Deputy Secretary Laura DeBella, who is hoping to be here, work to try to look for competitive opportunities across the state, whether it's in infrastructure or in workforce, and the governor has done a number of these in the Jacksonville area. We were here not too long ago, I think a year ago, announcing another $6 million plus money from Space Florida and other opportunities, and Jacksonville just keeps on delivering. So I know the governor is not only looking across the entire state, but this area in particular has been a significant recipient of awards. I know we were here recently announcing PaySafe. About a year ago, we had Dun & Bradstreet. Your local leadership is doing an excellent job, but the governor, it's not lost on him what we can be doing and doing more. I mean, talk about a hurricane hitting the state, and a few days later, A1A is washed away, but it's rebuilt within that record time. Governor did the same thing with bridges in Southwest Florida when my home community was hit. So we're going to continue to look for ways that we can help people and businesses lift themselves up. Government can't do everything for you, but this governor is aware of those opportunities that we can be continuing to invest in so that the local communities can do their job and help attract jobs. And of course, with the free state of Florida and this governor leading the reins, we're going to keep doing that for years to come. So thank you, Governor, and thank you to your local leadership.
Thanks. Well, we're excited to be able to do this. We're excited to make an impact, and we're going to do more, of course, over the coming days, weeks, months, and years, particularly as it relates to some of these key projects that really make a difference. You know, fortunately, Florida's never been in better fiscal shape in the history of our state. We have massive budget reserves. I mean, even like they finally got with the tune, because, you know, when COVID hit, they're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be such a disaster. Then they realized, like, well, okay, after a few months of this, like, actually people are coming to Florida because we were, you know, open. And we saw things really take off, and we were always bringing in more revenue than they were projecting for the budget forecast. Finally, in August, they revised it upward, saying, okay, like, you know, if you're saying there's going to be X number of revenue and they're bringing in $500-600 million more a month, maybe you got to change those estimates. So they raised the estimate, saying, you know what, this economy with low taxes, of course, is producing a lot of activity, which is causing you know, us to get a lot of revenue coming in. But then even with that, in November, we think we're going to be $350 million ahead of what the revenue estimate was for this month. And so, you know, it just shows you that good policy does matter. It makes a big positive impact, and we're going to be able to do a lot. We're going to do a lot with tax relief. We're going to do a lot with infrastructure. We're going to do a lot with you know, I promised toll relief. We're going to do toll relief for our commuters. So there's a whole bunch of things we're going to be able to do as a result of good management and good stewardship. And so we're happy to do that. We're also happy. I think it's the first time I've been back since the election in Northeast Florida. So thank you, Northeast Florida, for coming through so big for us. We're honored for the support, and we'll make sure to do you proud. So, okay, anybody have any questions? Yes, sir. I mean, I think, you know, look, I've asked for as many reports as possible, but by and large, this was a very transparent, efficient, and effectively run election. And that was not true in every state in the country. I mean, just think about this. We get into the week of the election. Monday before the election, I had to declare a state of emergency for then Nicole, which I don't even know was a named storm yet, but it ended up being Hurricane Nicole. So we do that. People start mobilizing. We have the election on Tuesday, and it was fine. The storm hadn't hit yet. Wednesday, the day after the election, I'm in the Emergency Operations Center working with our guys. We're bracing for this storm to hit in the wee hours of Thursday morning. The storm hits. You've seen further south in Jacksonville some of the coastal erosion, and it wasn't that this storm was that powerful, but it was like they already got hit with Ian, and then this coming on top was that. So you did that, and so you had, as Dane said, there was A1A washed away in different parts of these counties. St. John's had damage, Flagler had damage, Volusia, and I was on the scene. We were working. Everyone's doing. FDOT is repairing these things. By like Saturday afternoon, they had repaired miles and miles of A1A, and then you go Sunday morning, you read the news, and some of these states are still counting their votes after we counted them and reported the result Tuesday night. And I know some military ballots, some stuff trickle in the next day, but you know, we had 99+% counted by midnight, and then we're off to dealing with a hurricane. And then after we're done with that on the initial, you still have some of these other places that are having trouble counting votes. And so I think Florida has shown the way. I think the fact that we have put in place an ability to hold people accountable if they violate election laws has contributed to just compliance. Why worry? Why violate the law if you know you're going to be held accountable? It's not worth it. So I think people get that. And look, not every election is close. I mean, my election was not close. That's how you want to win, okay? But we have elections that are close. So, you know, there was a fellow that they brought charges on in Broward, illegal alien, 9-time conviction, criminal convictions, 9, and then voted in 2 elections in 2021 in Broward, one of which was decided by like 30 or 40 votes. And just think about in this area, you know, the current Speaker of the Florida House lost his first primary election in Duval County by 2 votes. And so that illegal vote could cancel out your vote, and then it could even change the election. So I think it was done well. You always look to see after action what could have been done better, but I think at the end of the day, compared to these other places and throughout our country, I think Florida is really the model. We've taken it seriously, and we won. And I said from the very beginning, when we were doing these reforms, I said, your vote matters in Florida. Don't let anyone tell you it doesn't count. It counts here. It matters. And we take pride in the way that we're running our system. So was there anything that happened that was bad that's going to be investigated? I'm not aware of anything. Of course, I don't get involved in kind of these individual cases as they're being done. There were reports, hey, they may be ballot harvesting in Orange County. They pursued that, and actually they didn't find that. So I think it worked well, and I think that we're really the model for how you do it. Yes. No problem. You know what I'm okay. So here's what I would say. Okay, so first of all, and I respect the question, but you are contributing to that by propagating false narratives. Don't say gay is a false narrative. And you know what? Well, listen. Here's the thing. That was a false narrative. And the difference, I think, in Florida is we fight back against that. We don't let the media cow us into accepting that. We don't play their game. We fight back against it. We told the truth to people. We told the truth to parents all throughout the state of Florida. And I know, particularly the national media corporations, I mean, they tried to run with this. They were trying to smear the legislature, all this other stuff. But you know what? The people here, they saw the facts and they responded and they supported us. And here's the thing. If you look at what we've been able to accomplish in 4 years, we've run the gamut in delivering results across a wide range of issues. I don't think there's any governor in the country that can have more achievements in a wider variety of subject matter than we have. Yes, you know the economy, you know the tax relief, you know our conservation record and what we've done with environment more than any other governor. You've seen what we've done with education. We've raised teacher pay more than any other governor has done. We've supported school choice. We've obviously want to have age-appropriate curriculum and support parents' rights. You look at what we've done on law and order to make sure that we stand with law enforcement and our first responders. So we've done all those things, and I think what that does is that brings people together. You don't win by 1.5 million votes unless you're doing an agenda that a lot of people buy into. That's just the honest truth. And so what I do is I let my actions speak. I'm not always out there commentating on social media, doing this, doing that. I know there's some that think that's some in the media think you have to be constantly glued to your computer all day. That's not how I live my life. That's not leadership. Leadership is about setting the vision and then producing results. And so our actions are really what matters. And I think if you look at our actions have been very strong, they've been very thorough, and we've delivered historic results for the people of this state. And you know what? We've only just begun. Thanks, everybody.